Welcome to Improv for the podcast. On this week's episode, we're joined by Dayna Gowan, who will tell us all about her improvisational journey. We'll play a couple games, and most importantly, learn how she improv'd her life. Let's hit it. Welcome to Improv for the podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lee Evans, and today I'm joined by the incredibly talented master of toasts, host of not one, but two podcasts, Dayna Gowan. Dayna, thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, Michael. Thank you. I love that master of toast.
Master of toast.
Fancy.
Yeah. It's just fun to flip Toastmaster on its head, you know?
It sounds way cooler, too.
Yeah, I think...
Because that could be master of, like, multiple different toasts.
True.
Like the toast, like clink, clink, clink toasts. Or, like, bread toast.
Which
like
is also
peanut butter
important.
on toast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I have a question for you about toast. Do you, like, in terms of crispiness, kind of what, on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say 10 is, like, it's basically charcoal, or 1, it's, like, just warm. Where do you land on that scale?
Probably, like, a 5.5. No. 6.5.
Okay, 6.5.
So it's got to be crispy, but there's a point where it's too crispy and it just like, it's not even bread anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like eating bark or something.
Yes. Yeah, and I know how to get that setting on my toast, my toaster.
That's an important skill.
Yeah, so.
We'll add that to the intro. Master of toast, host of two podcasts, Dayna Gowan. There you go.
I love it.
That's awesome. I think I'm around the same number, maybe a little higher, because I think there's a sick part of me that likes the burn. I'm the same with marshmallows too. I just toss them in the volcano. So
sick human.
Yeah, I should see someone for this. Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, Dayna.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Before we jump into our interview, if you could just maybe quickly explain your relationship to Improv for the People, maybe how long you've been around or when you got started with classes, just a quick summary.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I was thinking about this. I think I started classes November 2021. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe October, but I'm pretty sure it was November 2021. And we were still wearing masks with the quarantine.
Yes, we were.
But it was one of the only places I could find that was open and doing in-person improv. A lot of places weren't up and running. They were still doing virtual classes. And I was like, I cannot do any more virtual classes
it's tough.
anymore. It is so tough. And I was like, I'm going to check this place out. It's really close to my place, like maybe 3 or 4 miles away,
nice.
15-minute drive, not bad, on a good night. Okay, good night.
Of course, LA.
Right. And I came and I was like, this is so cool how it's like set up every week, and it's kind of like a workout, a gym, like you do your improv workout. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. I love the games, the exercises, and I think I stayed probably for 5 or 6 months at least. And then I haven't been doing the classes regularly because my schedule is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did go to let me back up here. I did go to camp this year, IFTP camp in October
Dayna
2022.
was featured in our Camp Chat episode that came out maybe about a month ago.
Oh, good. I haven't watched it yet.
That's okay. You lived it, Dayna.
I lived it, right. And I have this memory of me saying something about like the water was out and Matt walked in and I was like, Dayna, don't say that. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
I remember hearing that back. Yeah.
And I don't know why. And you said I have 2 podcasts. Like I listen to my voice all the time, but just, I don't know, listening to myself on something else, I'm like, oh, cringe.
Yeah. I understand that.
So I haven't listened to it yet, but I will. It's on my list. And I'll just like summon up all the courage to just listen to it. And I'm sure it's like the shortest of snippets because you interviewed so many people.
I did. It was, I think close to 20 different people on there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
Took a good bit of time to come out too, which I understand, the editing process.
I was saving it for a rainy day, and then I had a time where I was like, it's the holidays, I have no guests. Get the Camp Chat out. So that's what happened there. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. But camp was so much fun. I have an episode on my podcast where I talk about taking the leap of faith. where we did the ropes course and we had to jump off and hit a tiny little bell, and it seemed very far away and it looked very scary, but everyone else was doing it, so I was like, I'm going to do it, and I did it, and it was very scary too.
It was. I remember.
Did you do it?
I did.
Yeah. I did both ropes courses, and then I went to go on the climbing wall, and I literally got like reached for one hook. I was like, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I've already pushed myself enough today. I'm done. And the poor guy who had to like hook me up and all that, he was like, really? You're not even going to try? Nope, I'm done.
Like I came, I saw, I conquered.
Tried. Yeah.
No, I'd say you conquered because you did those other two, which I think that rock wall was kind of whack. I'm going to be honest.
It was very whack, and it was not set up for success. And someone did succeed.
Yeah, there was. I can't remember who anymore.
Two people succeeded, or one succeeded and one got close. Yeah. But just watching them, I was like, I don't look like them. And they look much more flexible than me. I don't think I'm going to make it that far.
Yeah, I feel you.
But that was so much fun. The anti-improv talent show was so special.
Yes.
I was doing a little journal challenge at that time while I was at camp. It just kind of hit while I was doing the journal challenge. And I have entries of how special camp was. Yeah. Matt's joyful meditation that he led that Friday night.
I did that one. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That was great.
And then Annie Rose's dance in the anti-improv talent show. Yeah. Amazing. I mean, just one of the most special moments I've ever been a part of. And I know that sounds like very like exaggeration. It's not. She was so vulnerable there, and you know when you're in a moment where you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I am not supposed to be anywhere else. Like, it's so perfect that I'm here. Yeah. Watching Annie Rose dance for the 4 minutes that she danced, it was like, this is the moment.
Yeah,
like,
you're just locked in.
Yeah. I mean, I had tears in my eyes. I know Austin was crying. Yeah. I mean, it was such an emotionally charged dance. Yeah. It was beautiful. So
absolutely.
And then the water was out too.
Yeah, and then the water. Don't say that, Dayna.
I know. Sorry,
sorry.
Matt.
Just echoing Matt.
Usually the water was working.
Yes,
but
not a good chunk of the time it was working. Yeah.
We just got the extra experience of roughing it a bit.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we remembered it was camp.
AKA, we had to use the porta potties for the ladies.
Yeah. It was a little dicey out there.
It was. Yeah. Overall, it was a fantastic experience.
Absolutely.
Going to camp. And then I also did the Improv IFTP sketch show that you ran.
Yes.
In July, I think. June to July we did that.
Yeah, June and July. I can't believe that's already, that feels like it was more recent, but it was like over 6 months ago now.
Well, and that was such a special experience too, because I had taken some online sketch classes. Yeah. But they didn't end in a show, of course. They're online, and doing an online sketch sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
But actually, I mean, sketch writings, it works really well on Zoom for like the writer's room.
The collaborative part.
Yeah, that one's fine. Like the table read and kind of pitching ideas, that works fine on Zoom. But your class and getting to play and like practice the sketches for like 3 weeks, we practiced and they got better each time. And getting to know my classmates more through the practice and like seeing how the sketches improved. It was so cool. And I know you have a background in acting and performance and theater. I do not. I mean, I've done improv shows and stuff on stage, but the sketch show is like another world. One, you have to bring so many props. And it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, the logistics.
There are a lot of logistics. And, when you compare improv to sketch, you're like, oh, improv, you kind of just show up and you make it up and and then you leave. It's not that bad. But sketch, you're like getting there like 2 to 3 hours earlier, like lugging in all your props and costumes. But it is so worth it. Yeah. It really is. It's so worth it. And just being a part of like the rehearsal process and practicing like who's going to bring on the props and who's taking them off, and this is when you come in and this is how you exit, like all that stuff I have never been a part of before in any kind of performance. So that experience alone was so special to me because it was just like this is the best learning experience for me. So I want to do it again. Have it again, please.
Me too. I'll work on it. All right.
Everyone listening that's in the LA area that's part of IFTP, come do sketch with us. Yes, I know I just sold it really well with how hard it is and the logistics and stuff.
But that's what makes it worth it.
That's what makes it worth it. And then we had an after party and we celebrated. I was out till like 2 a.m. that night. So.
There you go, Dayna. Yeah.
Party.
I was out till 1 hour after the no, I was out a little bit too.
No, you were out. Daryl, I think, stayed out the longest with. So we were out partying. So you work hard and then you party hard after.
Work hard, play hard. There you go. All right. Well, thank you, Dayna, for touching on that, and that just makes me even more like it lit a fire. I'm like, we gotta get back to it.
I know.
Right.
We're ready.
We are ready. Okay. So before we jump into talking a little more about improv, we, as always, are going to play a round of 3 things because, of course, you are here, and we got to play some 3 things that is personal to you, Dayna.
Okay. All right.
Any questions about 3 things, or I think you're pretty familiar.
I'm familiar.
All right. So here we go. We're playing 3 things, but it's personal. These are 3 things. First category: best things in New Orleans.
Ooh. Okay. Crawfish.
1.
King cake.
2.
Jazz.
3. These are 3 things. Second category: volleyball slang or vernacular.
Ooh. Ace.
1.
Dig it.
2.
And serve it up.
3. These are 3 things. Last one: hardest aspects of public speaking.
Eye contact.
1.
Body language.
2.
And control of your voice.
These are 3 things.
Thanks,
Oh,
woo.
all right. You were on it, Dayna. All right, so we're going to jump back. So New Orleans. Why did I ask you about New Orleans, Dayna?
Well, I grew up there. I'm from there. And I will be going there next 2 weeks for Mardi Gras, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's coming up that time of year. Huh?
Yeah.
I had my first chance to visit New Orleans this past summer. I was only there very briefly. I was staying with some family members who live in a small town outside. I'm not going to say the name of the town on the podcast, but they live outside about an hour outside of the city.
Friend's name.
That's true. That's true. Family member. Ponchatoula, Louisiana.
Okay. They have good strawberries.
I didn't have any. Wow, I gotta go back. But I did get to take a brief trip down to New Orleans, just like an hour. It was just how the timing worked out, but. What a beautiful city. Oh, my goodness.
It's very hot in the summer.
Yeah,
so,
I did not enjoy that. It was
especially
incredibly humid.
LA, living in LA and then going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
No, it's hot.
I forget, like, it does get hot here, but the wet heat, it's just worse.
I got married in New Orleans in June 2016. And at the time we lived in South Carolina. And so it just seemed normal that it's hot everywhere and that's how it is. And it's just what you do. And then we moved to LA about 2 years later and then we experienced summer here. And I was like, oh, we were a-holes for having our wedding in June. Like everyone was sweating.
Yeah,
I mean, my
soaked.
husband's shirt was not even white. It was just soaked. And the photographer he told me like, oh, we can edit it out. We can try to brighten. I was like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's what he looked like. So at one point he just ended up taking the white shirt off and then wearing his vest. And then the tie was around his head. And so we had a good time.
That's more fun.
It was more of a party than a wedding.
After the ceremony's done, that's fair game.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. I have to confess that I went to Café Dumont while I was there.
Fancy. Dumont.
Yeah, I think.
Got some beignets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. And when I ordered, I said Café au lait wrong. Au lait. I was like Café au latte or like something bad like that. And the employee was just like, no. I was like,
nice try, tourist.
He was like, I don't even want to give this to you now. But I was just like, oh no, nobody coached me.
Well, I joke that like French, you just drop the last letter or the last syllable, like café au lait. Like don't pronounce the T. Le Blanc. That's my maiden name. Le Blanc. Le Blanc.
Ooh,
you just drop the NC.
Yeah. Le Blanc.
I don't speak French at all. I only know how to say laissez les bon temps rouler, and that's let the good times roll, because that is like the ultimate slogan of New Orleans.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Wow.
For the record, I just want to say, for all our listeners here, I'm going to Mardi Gras I'm going to Mardi Gras in 2 weeks. We do not parade down Bourbon Street. Okay, that's a common misconception. The floats do not roll down Bourbon Street.
I did not know that.
You do not have to go to Bourbon Street if you go to New Orleans. It's quite gross. There's a lot of people around. It's a COVID nightmare, which I know we're past that. But there are lots of other places to go see than Bourbon Street at Mardi Gras time. So I just want to do that slight pitch there.
You heard it here first. Dayna says there's only Bourbon Street. Got it. Yeah, thank you for that pro tip. No, that is good advice, though, because I mean, someone with limited amounts of knowledge, I think Bourbon Street, and like, that's it.
Yes, and I'm riding in a parade, too, an all-ladies parade that rolls on Saturday, and I've had people ask, like, oh, so you roll down Bourbon Street, like, what's that like? I'm like, no, ew, gross. Like, I think I have to. We're doing a luncheon that Friday, and it's around the French Quarter, so I might have to step foot on Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
But other than that, I will not.
That's good to know. All right. Next category, volleyball, vernacular, and slang. Tell me about that, your experience with volleyball.
Yeah, I played volleyball since the age of 6.
Wow.
And then played in high school and ended up tearing my ACL in my junior year of high school, which, ruined any kind of recruiting chances.
Yeah.
And I was also a bit burned out at the time.
Yeah,
so
I mean, playing from the age of 6, yeah.
Well, let's be clear. It was like bounce ball. So the ball could bounce.
True. What does that look like?
The ball could bounce as many times until it just died on the floor. Which is terrible to watch. Yeah. It's fun to play as a kid. Yeah. It is horrible to watch as an adult. I gotta look up video of that, actually. And
I
haven't actually heard of it in many places besides New Orleans, so I don't know if that's just like a thing that they do.
Yeah.
And then when you get older, like 9 and 10-year-olds are doing bounce ball where it bounces once and then you have to hit it.
It limits it, yeah.
Yeah, so I played that, and then I did club volleyball for forever, like 10 to 18. And then I played club volleyball in college, which was just like for fun. It wasn't the real intense volleyball, like the really good people volleyball. And then I got into coaching after grad school. I wanted to give back, and just, I mean, I had some really good coaches and I had some really bad coaches.
Sure.
And my idea was, like, I want to be a better coach than some of the coaches that I had.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I achieved that. I'm probably, like, some of the girls might be doing therapy over. Like, that's what I worry about. Like,
coach in high school.
She was so mean to me. She wouldn't let me eat fried foods or Dippin' Dots at the tournaments. Like,
but Dippin' Dots, that's ice cream of the future, Dayna.
I know, but you can eat that after the tournament is over. You don't need that before a volleyball game. I understand you were 13 and 14. Your metabolism is very quick, but it is not going to serve you well on the court.
I played 2 years of volleyball in high school. I was not very good. I mostly rode the bench, but, I got a little action here and there. So I just, I was like talking to people about it, especially like someone, you are much more experienced than I was. So I was just like, it's a good sport.
It is. It's a great experience, and I love that California has like boys teams too, because that's not a huge thing out in the South.
Man, they're missing out. I had so much fun. I played in like PE, and then I just needed to play a sport to graduate. So I was like, volleyball. Okay. You
had to play a sport to graduate?
I think so. Yeah, I'd done some track here and there, and I was just not feeling that.
That's super intense.
Yeah, I don't. That might not be accurate. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to remember, but I did it for 2 years. So, yeah. What position did you play?
I played kind of everything except for setter. When I was tough. I don't have the hands or the discipline for setter. But when I was younger, I played middle because I was taller. Yeah. And then everyone kind of grew up,
those pipeline hits.
I didn't. So I switched to outside, which is more of like a well-rounded player. Yeah. I mean, that's generalizing. You can be a well-rounded player and play other positions, but I really liked outside. And then once I hurt my knee, once I hurt my knee and then tore my ACL again a year later, ended up having 3 knee surgeries within 2 years, I said, I'm not going to leave the ground anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to jump and hit the volleyball. I can stay on the ground and hit the volleyball now. And I did that. So I played defensive specialist.
Yeah.
But then I started jumping again, and I tore my ACL again.
Oh my gosh!
7 months before my wedding. It was a whole fun time.
7 months.
Yeah,
that's an insane turnaround.
It was a super fun time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot imagine.
So yeah, that's been like 7 years ish.
Yeah,
so
2016. Yeah.
fingers crossed. It's
Fingers crossed.
We're good. And I tried playing beach volleyball a few months ago, and I didn't jump. Don't worry, because it's hard to jump in sand.
It's a little tougher doing that at the beach anyway. Yeah.
And I was so sore the next 2 days.
Oh yeah.
Like, what? My body's so old now.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I need to jump back in. That might be a little rough.
Hey, I'm always up for a beach day.
Sure.
You know, it's not going to be pretty, and that's
not for me
okay.
either. I'll be covered in sand.
Yeah. If I'm really good if the ball comes right to me.
That's
like I know
that's
what
usually
to
when
do.
I'm at my best as well.
Right. Yeah. But if I have to move and then if I have to chase the ball, forget it. It's not going to happen.
It's tough on the sand. Takes a little extra effort. All right. That final category, Dayna. I asked you about public speaking. Why did I ask you about public speaking? Because I know you know a thing or two, but why? Tell our audience.
Because I'm the master of toast.
Master of toast.
Right?
Yes, master of toasts.
I've been in Toastmasters now for 8 years, 8+. I lose count now, but I joined originally because I was so scared of public speaking. I mean, I like doing something like this. Forget it. I would have never done it. Having my own podcast, oh my God, like my face would have been so red and I would have had nightmares. I just would never have been able to do it. And I would be so shaky up there pre-Toastmasters, like just in school having to do presentations and stuff. And then it followed me into my career, and I was realizing I'm going to have to do a lot of presentations. And if I want to grow and succeed, I'm going to have to be better.
Yeah, like I got to face this.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I would be like red-faced and shaky arms, shaky legs. My voice would be so shaky. And I would be so in my head. I'd be so worried. Like if you were in my audience, I'd be like, oh, he's not smiling, or like, oh, he's looking at his phone. Oh no, he hates what I'm saying. Oh my God. And like, I would forget what I'd be so focused on, which is important to be focused on your audience, but to the point where I would just be in my head judging myself.
Yeah.
And it just, I needed help. So my company had a corporate Toastmasters club. Ended up joining that. It was so much fun. It was a really special group, the nicest people ever, super supportive too. And then I jumped right in. I ended up doing 10 speeches in a year. That was my goal, to do 1 speech a year.
That's fantastic.
Toastmasters length is about 5 to 7 minute speeches.
Pretty good speech. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny now. I'm like, oh, that's not enough time. Like, and
that's why we have podcasts. Yeah.
Right. And in the podcast side tangent, I sit down and I'm like, okay, just record a 20-minute episode. Like the solo episodes are the hardest for me for some reason. And record a 20-minute one. It'll be fine. Like, just get it done. And I end up talking for an hour. Okay, I think I need to work on my time management a bit. But there's a lot of side tangents and story holes I got to go down.
Yeah.
But I did need help with that as well, like organization. I remember in college I had to do a speech 101 class. It was a required elective that you had to take. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take it my sophomore year, get it over with. And my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, we've been dating since college. We both took it at the same time, but we refused to take it in the same class because we're like,
no, I don't want you to be in there.
I can't let you see me be that vulnerable.
That. Yeah, I think that could be important.
Yeah. We might not have made it had we. Yeah, that's a big choice.
Hey, feedback on your speech today. No, don't. I don't want to talk about it with you.
It was good, but you were really red.
I noticed.
Yeah. So we both went through the experience together, just different teachers. But my first class, my first speech we had to do, it was a 4-minute speech on something that influenced you. I mean, the easiest topic, right? It's personal, like something that has influenced you. I'm 19 years old. I've got stuff. I've got knee problems. I had Hurricane Katrina problem. Like, I had problems. I had things to talk about. Yeah. So I decided to talk about Hurricane Katrina because it hit when I was a senior in high school. And it's like, 4 minutes. Like, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, you're like, I can do that.
I could do that. Yeah, that'll fill. Well, I ended up speaking for 11 and a half minutes on my experience with Hurricane Katrina. And I remember at first the audience being like, whoa, this like the story is really engaging. And then eventually like dying off and being like, oh my God, she's still talking. And there were no cues. Like Toastmasters, they will give you cues of like your time via
which is
lights.
really helpful.
It is very helpful. I don't remember timing cues, but I did get a B-. So the teacher must have felt very sorry for me.
They're like, that's really sad.
That's really sad.
Long. Yeah.
And I feel really bad for the speaker too, because she's struggling. So I'm going to give her a B-, because it's really hard to give a C for a speech on Hurricane Katrina.
I mean, that's you're a very mean person, I think, if you do that.
So that was my first like experience, and then it just got worse. So Toastmasters made it better, and was in it for a while. I mean, it took me 10 speeches to really feel comfortable.
Sure, yeah.
And then I would say it took me about 3 years to really let go of my notes. Like I always wanted to bring index cards or my notes up.
Yeah, have that anchor.
I had to write out my speech all the time, and I wouldn't necessarily practice, but I needed to write it out for organization's sake, and so I wouldn't ramble that much. And now, with my improv training, I will say improv has just like leveled up my public speaking because it has made me not afraid of question and answer sessions and being put on the spot or forgetting a little bit of what I'm going to say. And now I don't write out speeches. I just make outlines and
you can fill in the gaps from there.
Yeah. And then podcasts, I make outlines, and clearly I might need to write out a little bit more because I'm going over time, but it's just Toastmasters gave me that foundation for public speaking. It gave me the confidence that I never knew I had. I never knew that was in me. So it just gave me this new level of confidence and fearlessness to be up on stage. And then I think that foundation really helped me in improv, at least to try it. Because without Toastmasters, without conquering my fear of public speaking, I don't think I try improv.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So you've given us a nice little tangent here leading into improv.
Well, I'm good at that.
So thank you for filming.
Were you expecting an hour episode? Because we're going to be here a little bit.
Oh, don't worry, Dayna. Don't worry. I got time. I hope you do. All right. So with that natural transition, and I thank you for sharing that, your experience with Toastmasters, because I think it's a really important like group that exists. Like my dad's been a part of Toastmasters for a long time at his work, and I learned about it through him. I had never heard of it, and he told me about it. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And like, I think if I worked in a place that offered it, I think it would be something I would definitely want to do.
They're all over. I mean, the cool part is it is worldwide.
Yeah.
And it started, I believe, in Santa Ana.
Oh, yeah.
Was so the founding, the founding club that started it. And then I am currently in a club that was the 21st club start back in like...
You're on the 21st podcast episode, Dayna. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
It's a sign.
And I am not 21 years old.
Neither am I.
God.
It's okay.
What?
But we can pretend to be.
I love that it is worldwide and that like transcends cultures and languages and they have a whole convention. I mean, you can get really into it. You don't have to. I've kind of stepped away and gotten really into improv instead, just because that's new to me. But it's helped a lot of people, myself included. And really, it's like that exposure therapy. Like if you're afraid, it'll help you to just get up there, do it in a low stakes environment. It feels high stakes when you're nervous and scared. It feels really high stakes. But then when you do it for a while, you're like, oh, I'm going to practice my content here. So that way, when I deliver it in front of
at my job or wherever,
my audience, whoever I'm speaking to, in a higher stakes situation, I'm going to crush. And that is what it's there for. And that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So we've talked Toastmasters. We've talked New Orleans. We've talked volleyball. Now we got to talk some improv, Dayna.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. When was the first time in your life you heard about or were exposed to improv?
You know, I've been thinking about this. Yeah. I don't remember the year, but it's probably 2014, 2015.
Oh, okay.
Ish. Yeah. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, really liked Comedy Bang Bang.
Ah, yeah, the podcast.
So we would listen to that, and this is when it was the podcast. I think it used to be like a radio show or something.
Yeah.
So we listened to it as the podcast, and everyone who was on it, well, of course they improvised, but all the guests that were on it were improvisers too.
They get all those like UCB folks on there.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, I want to, like, that's so cool. And I remember looking up classes. We lived in Columbia, South Carolina at the time, and I looked up improv classes to get my boyfriend for the holidays and stuff, and there was nothing. I mean, nothing I could find, at least online. It was so sad.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, there's this thing. Oh, we want to try it. Oh, so we don't really have it too much around here, so.
Yeah, that was it. And I mean, so Toastmasters, just to bring it back, Toastmasters.
Yeah, sure.
Masters of Toast. They do table topics, which is their form of improv.
Yeah,
so
like an impromptu speech kind of thing.
Impromptu question, yeah. So you're asked a question, you're not prepared for it, you're not sure what they're going to ask. You have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the question.
Oh, okay.
So that's good training.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's
a primer.
essentially improv.
Yeah.
And, you know, Toastmasters, they do a little contest, little mini contest within each club meeting and stuff. You vote for your favorite answer, and usually the ones that have the most connection or vulnerability or humor will win.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The club ribbon, the coveted club ribbon.
Gotta
Gotta get one. I have a stack. I have a nice stack of them. Don't worry. Master of Toasts here.
That's a well-earned title.
And but yeah, so that's my start to improv. But yeah, it was never called improv.
Yeah.
So then we we're here in LA doing our relocation trip, trying to find a place to live. My husband got a job out here.
Okay.
And so we're scoping it out. We have 5 days to find a place to live, which is very scary.
That sounds very scary.
Very intense.
And the times I've moved around LA, it has taken much longer than 5 days.
You had to be ready.
And I was local.
We only saw 3 places. It was it was like a House Hunters LA edition.
Man. Yeah.
But no cameras following us around.
Well, they're lost.
Yeah. And the second place we saw, it was like, we want this place. So
great. Oh man, that's great.
So we actually had an extra day, and it was a Monday, and we were like, well, let's go to UCB Franklin and go see a show, and it ended up being The Smokes, which
Herald Night,
it was Herald Night, and I don't think I knew what Herald. I think I knew Herald was just something really intense. I don't know if I knew what a Herald was at that point. But we watched, and it was just like pure magic. I mean, and had dreams of like, I'm going to go see this every Monday. I'm going to go every week.
Like, I will be there. Yeah.
And I was not. So we moved in like June-ish, 2018.
Okay.
I didn't sign up for my first improv class till January 2020. So it took that long.
Yeah.
And certainly there's like an adjustment period to living in LA.
Here.
It doesn't take that long.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of fear in that. I went to like a 2-hour improv workshop February 2019, and I reported back to my husband. I'm like, that was so much fun. We need to go back, or like, we need to do a class. It'll be great. And we just never could like fully commit. But finally, this was at West Side Comedy. Finally, they offered a Cyber Monday code for after Thanksgiving, like $50 off. And we're like, okay, there's money off. And we can do it on a Saturday. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
let's just do it together. And we took our first class January 2020, had our class show February 2020. And then, of course, COVID hits.
You're like, that was great.
Yep. And then
so all your improv momentum that you just started.
Everything was online after that. So we just kept rolling online, and it's not the same. Luckily, I think we had that like little taste.
Yeah, it came back for a second, and then they were like, gotcha.
Well, even like we had the little taste in the beginning, like in January, to know that it isn't this terrible. I think if we had done it just online, I don't know if we would have kept going.
Yeah, if you would have stayed around, you're like, oh, this is improv.
Yeah.
It keeps lagging out, and our space work is going so poorly over Zoom.
Yeah, so I don't, it is what it is. I mean, luckily we had it. Luckily it worked somewhat over Zoom, because it definitely brought a bright spot into our lives. I know for many people, it brought some form of connection too, and made a lot of friends doing it and stuff. So it wasn't all bad. It just was really hard and cringy sometimes.
Yeah, sure. I've done a teeny bit of Zoom improv, and the experiences I had, it was tough. It was definitely tough. And Yeah, I don't miss it. So I'm very thankful that we can be here and do things like the show in person and the shows we do here at IFTP and the classes, because it's tremendous when we get to do that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doing shows online too, and like you get none of that laughter feedback either.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
It's just kind of silent, and it's just you in your room to a webcam on a screen on your like 13-inch laptop. Like,
And for one class, the teacher would be like, okay, for edits, you turn on your camera and you literally go, edit.
Oh.
And it's like, oh, how
everyone
lame.
was trying to figure it out. Yeah.
How lame is that to be like, edit? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't sweep edit. You can't clap.
Yeah.
Like,
just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. So when you started taking that first class, your impressions of improv, right? You had seen a Herald Night. You had listened to Comedy Bang Bang. So how was that based off like expectation versus reality? How was that?
I had very high expectations of myself, and I don't know why, because I was doing something new. So I don't know why. I think it's the sports background, just like high expectations to like overperform, outperform. I don't know. But it was hard. I remember we would take it and, doing it with my husband is nice and weird at the same time, because it's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. And you mess up, you're not very funny. You don't feel funny either. So it's kind of hard to do it together, but then it's nice because then we could after class be like, oh, that exercise was hard. Oh, you were good in this. Oh, no, I wasn't. Like just the conversations we would have. And, I was super in my head the whole time, and just every scene felt cringy. Like every scene felt really, really, really hard to do. Didn't feel funny. I don't even remember getting laughs. It just, probably the first 4 of 8 classes was just like, oh, I should just quit while I'm ahead. Yeah. Like this is just, and you watch everyone else and looks easy for them, and I'm certainly like, I give them grace, they mess up, or it's like, oh, that was fine. Like even if it wasn't funny, like that was fine. Yeah. But if it's me, it's like, oh my God, that was horrible. That was awful. And I don't know why I do that. I mean, I think it's normal. I think we all do that, but I don't know why.
We're such harsh critics to ourselves.
I don't know why. Like I just be nice.
Yeah,
it's
just
okay.
be nice. Give yourself a chance.
Well, and the cool thing that our instructor did at the end of 101, and I have not seen any other instructor do it, and I get maybe it's a 101 thing, but he did a hot seat, and so he put a seat out, and he said, okay, one by one, you're going to sit in that hot seat, and everyone is going to go around and say what your strengths are and what they like about your scene work and
kind
your
of self-reflect.
Improv. Yeah, and hearing that, like people would say stuff that I would have never complimented myself on. And it was just really nice. And it was nice to hear. And then it was nice to do it to others, because I think sometimes when you first starting with an improv, and I still do this now, I have a bad scene with someone and I want to like text them later. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I totally no-butted your scene. I didn't start with a soft yes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I don't need to do that. Like, it's okay. Yeah. But like hearing people say, oh, you're good at this. And then also being able to tell people, you're really funny here. And I loved when you had this scene. Like, it's stuff that people might not share. Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah. I have never heard of doing something like that. So I love the idea of that exercise.
Hot seat. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I want to find a way to someday implement that.
Yeah, I think you need to be maybe with the group for a little bit.
Yeah, you got to build up to it.
Yeah.
First class. All right, everybody. I know we all just met. What's your name again? Well, get up there.
I've only taken one acting class so far, and I want to do more and get more into like Meisner and stuff. I think it'll help. I know you know all the stuff. Yeah. I think it would help my improv a lot to be more emotional and play more character work. Yeah. But I took one class, and it was out in Santa Monica. They've since moved, and it was like an audition taping class. I didn't really learn a whole lot. I won't say the theater. I'm really not selling it here.
Put them on blast, Dayna. No.
What
was your teacher's name?
He did that. He did a hot seat in the first class, but it was like, share your story. Like, why are you here? What are you trying to get?
Yeah, yeah.
And the first guy that went on, oh my God, he did like a one-man show. He told his whole life story and just all these tragedies. And I feel like, I don't mean to laugh, like he overcame some stuff. Okay?
Yeah, he'd been through it.
But he talked for like the first hour, and there were like 9 of us still left to go. So it's like he just really monopolized that time. So the next 2 hours were real combined. We didn't end up doing any acting or auditioning the whole first class. So, that's what
Time
you
is money.
spend your money on sometimes in these classes.
Yeah, those can be tough. Oy.
Yeah.
Wow, good for him. Well, I hope he's working on writing it, turning it into a script.
I think he was. I don't know where it's gone since then, but he's working through some stuff. But I will say, we kind of laughed at that, like, we didn't really do any acting work that time.
Yeah.
We actually really bonded as a group.
Yeah, probably because
of that. So there's something to that hot seat technique.
There's probably a balance you can find where it's like maybe everyone has an appropriate amount of time to share.
I'm going to set a timer. You get 5 minutes.
Yeah, setting that expectation.
And Dayna, you cannot fit your whole life story, your whole Katrina story in 5 minutes. Okay,
Dayna, you're going to have to condense it a little bit now.
All right, don't go down the story hole, Dayna. Don't do it.
Yeah. All right. So you finished that first class. Something weird happens in March 2020.
Yeah,
I don't really know what. I want to ask this question about your experience improv before you got to IFTP, and then we'll get to the IFTP chapters.
Yeah.
I rag on Zoom Improv a lot, but I want to ask if you think in your experience, were there some benefits or something you felt that was unique or that you could learn from Zoom Improv that maybe you sometimes miss out on doing improv in person?
You definitely have to, listening comes in both forms, both virtual and in person. If you can do space work on virtual, you will be a space work master in person.
Yeah.
I always found it very hard to do space work in person or on virtual because it's like I'm in my room, like I'm surrounded by books, like I just couldn't really let go of that space. And then if you turned, then you weren't facing the camera. And I had like one teacher that was like, "That's cool, do that." And then another teacher's like, "What are you doing? You're not facing the camera."
Oh no. You're like, well, who do I believe?
Right. And the listening, because there's a lot of distractions at home too.
Yeah, because you're at home.
Yeah. And then even sometimes I remember doing a scene, this is very early on, but I have like little stuffed animals on my bed because I'm a 30-something-year-old adult that still has stuffed animals on their bed.
Why not?
And I think I was yelling about like Squishy the dolphin or something. Or Nari the narwhal, but maybe its name was Squishy at the time. And I just remember yelling like, "Squishy, Squishy!" And I'm like, "Oh, the neighbors." Because I'm in a small apartment.
Sure.
What are the neighbors thinking right now?
What in the heck is going on over there?
So it does put you in your head.
Yeah, you get a little self-conscious.
And so if you can let go of that, I think that's what doing improv virtually at least gave me a foundation of like getting out of your head, because like the neighbors are really thinking we're crazy people at this point. Listening and being able to do your space work. I will add, I'm sorry, I'm going in a roundabout way of answering this question. Walk-ons become very important virtually.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're in person, it's an easier crutch to do a walk-on. And it might not always be, I don't want to say thought through, because improv, you're in the moment, you're kind of going with that first thought. But online, it's like, okay, if I come in here, I have to be really clear with this walk-on.
Yeah, what I'm adding to the scene.
What am I adding to the scene here? Not so much is it worth it, but like, is this going to add value? And how am I going to show them? Because sometimes you'll do a walk-on and just like pretend like you're washing dishes or pouring a drink or something. You may not say anything. How can you convey that online?
Yeah.
So I think, online really trains you to have important and effective walk-ons.
Yeah, clear, maybe concise, and just to the point.
Yeah, and that, to that point, initiations too, clear initiations, because you're not really able to establish the world. So there are a lot of benefits to virtual. at least in laying the foundation. And then when I came back to doing in person at IFTP and stuff, it was like, oh, wow. Like hearing laughter, like how do you
adjusting to those elements.
So there's another learning curve that comes with it. But I will say virtual gives you a nice foundation if that's all you have.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So it's the pandemic. You're working your way through these online classes. And eventually, how did you find your way to IFTP?
You know, that is a good question. I think I think I was on a mad search for in-person improv classes.
I was as well, because I joined, I think, just maybe a month or two before you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I remember
I thought you'd been in it forever, the long haul.
No, just I think September 2021 is when I started. Like I found it in August, and then I signed up for the September classes.
Okay,
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's funny how like impressions work. Cause I mean, you were very comfortable there. I know you have an acting background now. I didn't know that then. And so it's like, oh, he's been doing this forever. Like, just how comfortable you were. So, great job.
All right, well, thank you.
There.
Because you joined the Wednesday class, and that's the one I was in, I think. And I remember, like,
thank you. I'm going to accept that compliment.
Yeah, you were great. You were coming in.
I'm going to own it and accept it.
You were an excellent addition to our class.
Thank you. And I will say, side tangent, doing improv in masks is still hard.
It is.
It is not the most fun thing to do, but it is better than the alternative of Zoomprov.
100% agree. That's why as soon as I found IFTP, I was like, I'm in. I can go there.
Yeah, like, okay, I can wear a mask. That's fine, whatever. But yeah, honestly, it probably was a mad Google search. Okay, they're still online. Oh, in-person classes. Have to wear a mask, vaccination status, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. And I do like the way it is very differently set up from the courses. You know, you do a 101 and 201 at most theaters. Yeah. But I do like the difference of like having a monthly, like a day, you know, every Wednesday I'm going to go train improv. I'm going to go do it. And we're not so much doing a curriculum of sorts, but like we get better every time we come. Yeah. Yeah. It's like kind of the long term versus like you got 8 weeks and you better get this by the end of 8 weeks. Otherwise you got to do it again. Right. Yeah. Right. And sometimes things come up. I do like how it's flexible. Like, you know, there's a Wednesday you can't make. I'll come to a Tuesday class. And then you get to meet new people. And you're like, oh, hi, new people. I was just coming to Wednesdays. Didn't know you were here. This is cool. Yeah. You come in and you're like, wow, it's like a whole different world in here, but everybody's still a part of the same larger overall organization. Yeah. And one thing I really appreciate about it, I've taken a lot of Matt's classes. I've taken some of Jamie's classes too. So I don't have experience with the other instructors, but one thing I really like that Matt does is the gray spacing, which I still struggle with a bit. So I probably need to come back and work on We're going to put that on display later. Work on the gray spacing a bit because I just sometimes like I notice this and I've never gotten a note on it, but I'll pause. Maybe it's the public speaking in me. Like I'll pause for because I'm thinking, but I'll try to make it look like dramatic or theatrical. You kind of try and get it to. You can tell. You can just tell. I don't play it off that well. So it's like just gray space and go. And I like that term, and I haven't really heard that term gray spacing anywhere else. So I do appreciate that training here. Yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. So you did classes at IFTP for a while, and what I kind of want to turn this to is some of the research I did, reading about you a little bit. Oh, scary. Taking a look at your website, looking at your LinkedIn. It's one of my favorite parts of the podcast. I love digging into everybody who comes on, just like learning about them. Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you take a lot of the skills that you learn in improv and put them into corporate settings. And you work with businesses, right, to kind of help them and give them some coaching, whether that's on public speaking or just the level of comfortability in a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting, which I think is really important as someone who does Zoom meetings for work and does in-person meetings for work and like really setting the tone. I just love to hear about your experience and your work doing that because I love that idea and I wish we could get some of that at my work. That's what I'm going to say about that. Well, that's the thing. Every place can use it. Yeah. So it's a side business for me. I'm working on making it a full-time
that's
business.
awesome.
But yeah, my business is called Improvly Speaking. And
Great name.
I know, right? It's like public speaking and Improvly Speaking. I'm making Improvly a word now. It is not currently a word. It is now. But I really came to fruition because of the pandemic, watching these Zoom webinars and just wanting to gouge my eyes out because that would be the better alternative than having to watch and listen to this boring webinar. And I do think, most people have improved. We're all going through the same thing. We're all figuring out Zoom.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of grace there. But, after a while, it just became like these talking heads. And it's like, we could really make Zoom a lot more fun. And I was taking these Zoom improv classes, and it's like, okay, I can bring some of these exercises and skills into Zoom and play too. And then I discovered that there's this whole world of applied improv. And I know Matt does it. I know IFTP offers the corporate trainings too. And they've been doing it a lot longer than me. They do it very well. But, it's still kind of a niche thing, this applied improv. And I think it's gaining a lot of traction and it's growing. But, work is boring.
Yeah.
And,
that's why it's work.
And well, I know, but
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, my opinion is you can infuse some play into work. And I'm not saying you have to play for 8 hours.
Oh, I'm going to tomorrow, Dayna. You heard it. I'm going to play all day tomorrow. We'll see if I have a job next week.
Yeah, I'm not saying to go rogue and say yes and light the whole place on fire either. But a little play, 30 minutes to 60 minutes of play.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like playing with blocks, like connecting with your coworkers, which you can do on Zoom.
Yeah.
Going into breakout rooms, doing these exercises is super fun, and then it recharges you and it like refreshes the batteries, and you're like, oh wait, I have this idea now. Like you've got the creative juices going.
Yeah.
Whereas if you sat on a webinar where the person just went wah 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 wah, oh here's a tip for this wah wah wah, it's like you get nothing out of that. You get so much more when you play and experience the exercise.
Yeah.
And, I've been in so many trainings, like pre-COVID, doing trainings at work and stuff, just sitting there, and the instructor will say, okay, let's break out into groups and role play something. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting, right? Because role play, that has play in it.
Yeah, but
when it's not set up in a fun way, when it's like, let's dialogue this scenario. Like,
turn to your partner and dialogue the following scenario.
Right. Let's pretend like you're angry and you have to diffuse the situation. I've never done anger management, for the record, but it's not fun. So these improv exercises, it puts it in like a low stakes situation where you might not ever be like, there's an exercise called the time traveler exercise where you pretend you're a time traveler. I have to explain to you what a cell phone is. And you're a time traveler, so you're going to be like, I'll say, oh, well, there's buttons and I can call people. And you're like, buttons on my shirt?
Oh, yes, for my coat.
No. Like, they're buttons, and then it'll dial, and then I'll be able to talk to somebody.
Oh, you mean face to face, of course.
I can talk face to face on the camera.
The camera?
Yes, camera where you take a picture of yourself. It like freezes yourself in time.
Yes, an oil painting. Yes.
Right, it's like a digital oil painting. Right. So I'm going. Right. I'm just going down the rabbit hole. I'm really struggling here. I'm not doing a good job. You're even more confused. I've thrown more terms at you now.
But that's the fun of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do that for 2 to 3 minutes. Let people experience that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what did you learn? I learned that I shouldn't mention buttons and camera and digital.
Yeah.
Like I should take it slow, keep it simple. But I didn't get frustrated. So that's always my lesson learned with that exercise is like, I didn't get frustrated with you, but if you're my grandma trying to use a cell phone, I'm like, God, Grandma, come on and get it. I can't believe you don't know how to use a cell phone. I've shown you 10 times. And she is a time traveler. Like she lived in the 20s, and rest in peace, Grandma. But like she lived in the 20s, and
she grew up in a different era.
Yeah, she didn't know what a cell phone was.
She didn't need to.
And she didn't need to, but I did not show her the same empathy that I just showed you as the time traveler. So it's recognizing, like, how can we show empathy to people of different cultures, understandings, experiences. Yeah. People don't live in our heads. They don't have the same experiences as us. How can we be nicer and more empathetic when we communicate? So that exercise is all about communication. Way more fun than like, let's dialogue how to be empathetic when we talk to people.
Oh, yeah.
So, right, like it's just infusing play, but you learn more, you gain more from it. And honestly, like it's just like work is boring. Let's make it more fun. Yeah. Let's make, and you know, people aren't stepping up and sharing their voices. They're not sharing what they think, whether they're scared, they don't feel psychologically safe at work. Yeah. I mean, they're not
invested.
They're not invested. So, you know, how can we change that? How can you allow them a chance to connect with people through these silly exercises? Yeah, they're super silly. I'm not saying we're going to do some hard-hitting exercises here, but the silliness is where you find the connection, where you find the fun, and you find the lessons learned, too.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to a meeting I had just last week at work where at the end of the meeting, we broke out into breakout rooms and we were given a list of discussion questions that were like, you need to email a team member a question. Or it was basically like an email-based scenario of like, what's the best way to communicate to your team member this specific information? And it's just like a bunch of, corporate-y questions like that. And
hi, John. I'm so sorry to bother you, and apologies for the delayed response.
Yeah, like that.
I hope you're doing super well. I hope you're having a nice New Year.
That's we could circle back. It's like circle back, touch base.
I want to table this discussion for later next week. Yeah, it's all that jargon. And like you didn't even get to what you were trying to
and it's just there's so much fluff to everything. And I mean, thank God, like I was with one of my coworkers who was sitting next to me at his desk, and then like the other people were like generally, a little more fun. So it was a fun breakout room, but that's just because of the people in there. But I know for some of those other breakout rooms, they're probably like, okay, so when you emailed your, blah, 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 or who should you contact when you have an issue with payroll, like just I need help, Dayna.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. We're all very social beings, but we need a little guidance. So just like even starting the discussion, sometimes it's like, who's going to start this? Who's going to say the first thing in this breakout room? Like you need to give guidance there. Just establish that like psychological safety of who's going to start the discussion first. So it might be like person with the shortest hair, person with the last name closest to Z. Yeah. We'll start talking first and we'll do this first. That way isn't that awkward like, ooh.
Then you know your place. You're like, okay, I'm going to go next. Or,
and it's so simple, right? We don't even think through that because we think, we're adults. Like someone will step forward.
And then...
But... It's like, let's just cut that out and not have anyone stress about it. Yeah. And there's a lot of breakout room fatigue now, too. So sometimes now when you say breakout rooms, people are like, oh, God. Yeah. So you have to allow that, too, of like, you don't have to go in the breakout rooms. I do wellness presentations as well, where I say, like, if you want to go in the breakout room and discuss and share, like, what your takeaways were, you can. Or you can stay back and journal and reflect, and giving people the option to do that is very important too. Yeah.
I was a teacher during the deepest parts of the pandemic, and at minimum, I would do at least 5 separate Zoom calls a day, each lasting at least 30 minutes, if not more. And I am done. I'm done, Dayna. I'm done.
I can't imagine
the fact that they're still happening. I stepped away from teaching last year, but I still am related to it and still doing Zoom calls because of that. And I'm just like, I have such thin patience now because I'm like, man, we're about to hit 3 years since COVID started. Y'all got to figure out and be good at Zoom. Like,
that is so true.
It kills me.
That's very true.
I think about it all the time.
Yeah, It's just, there's ways to make more connections and stuff. And there's a time and a place. So sometimes there's webinars. I watch a lot of webinars and stuff at work, like informational. And sometimes
those are a little different.
Providing information, you have to get through the slides.
Yep.
You can break away from the slides, though.
No, you have to read what's exactly on there.
You don't have to. You can break away. You can share a story or two. You can be a little personal. You can be vulnerable. That's what I'm going to hear. If you're trying to read on the slide, I'm like, oh, God, I've already checked out.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's just... That's where it really started, was making it more fun and engaging for people.
Yeah,
and it's just grown into, I do wellness for my full-time job. I'm a wellness consultant, so I help companies with their employee wellness programs. And it was seen like, okay, this improv stuff actually connects to wellness too. So there's a whole like improv for self-care too. So like, and it's, we think of self-care like you have to exercise and you have to eat right and you must journal and take care of your mental health and sleep. And sure, those are excellent self-care activities. But what if we just say there's, an exercise on Zoom where we play ping pong with imaginary ping pong paddles, okay?
So that sounds fun.
In my hand, there's a ping pong paddle, there's a ball, and we're just going to play ping pong. Yes, I'm making full-grown adults play imaginary ping pong over Zoom. Yeah. And the lesson, the takeaway, there are multiple, but the big takeaway there is just getting out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
AKA exercising.
Yeah, self-care.
Being physically active. Yeah. So what if we, if you're scared or you don't like the term exercise, you've got a lot of triggers around it.
Yeah.
I understand. Let's not call it exercise. Let's call it get out of your head and into your body. Dance around, walk around, do whatever you need to get out of your head, which is going crazy right now, and get into your body, get more present into what you're feeling in your body. So it's that letting go of perfection. That is certainly a self-care tactic too. We get so caught up in having the perfect self-care activities. I've got to sleep for 7 to 9 hours and I've got to get 150 minutes of exercise every week, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, let's pump the brakes and just be a little nicer to ourselves, let go of perfection. And we actually might do those things if we're not so hard on ourselves too.
Yeah.
And then creativity.
Yeah.
Right? Being creative is a self-care activity.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we don't label it like that, or, it's just not the traditional way of thinking. So improv and wellness definitely connect. Improv and public speaking definitely connect. The whole world of applied improv is amazing too. And a medical improv is a huge thing. Now there are research papers on medical improv and how they're training medical students now, and doctors, nurses, people who work in hospitals to interact better with patients using these skills of improv. I mean, Matt does an exercise that we've done in IFTP where it's last letter, first letter.
Yeah.
Or headlines. Sometimes we do headlines, but the last letter that you end on is how you start your headline or your phrase, your sentence. It's a great listening skill.
Yeah, because you're paying attention, because you have to catch that letter. Otherwise, you won't have anything to say at all.
And you can't prep ahead of time.
Nope.
So you might be like, okay, E, excellent, F, friend. I mean, you could certainly have a list, but that's not going to serve you that well because you can't, you just got to trust your skills. That's a great listening exercise that they can do in medical improv to help with listening skills.
Yeah.
So it's just so cool how far it spans.
You mentioning medical improv just triggered a memory, not in the bad trigger, just remembering. When I was in college, I had an opportunity a couple times, the nursing department, they had opportunities for actors, and I was an acting student, to come in and play roles as patients, and we would work with the nursing students.
My friend does that.
I had a lot of fun, and I got a little bit of money, which was good because I was a college student. And I remember I really enjoyed that because, you want to take it seriously because you're like, these are the future healthcare workers of America. Right. We need them to be good.
Right.
So I have to take this seriously. And it was a really interesting experience getting to, they give certain diagnosis and symptoms and that you'd have to act out and commit to. So I guess that's maybe an example of that.
It is, for sure. I have a friend that does it. She tells me about it all the time. She has to play a pregnant lady and a schizophrenic. And
wow.
I mean, She
It's
takes it
range.
very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and she, I mean, does so well that some of the students are like, "Oh, when are you due?" And she's like, "No, I'm not expecting. I never
what?
will be." Like,
Due to come back here? Oh,
Yeah.
like next week probably. Yeah.
but I hear stories and
Yeah.
it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Although I would worry I would break because I just laugh all the time. So
Yeah.
it's like trying hard not to break. Did
Yeah.
you kept it serious?
I think I held it down. Maybe the first couple, like where I was a little shaky because I was like, you feel a little nervous because you're like, I'm playing, they're not. This is real for them,
Right.
And for me, I'm coming in to act as this person. So, but I think once I got over that and got into it, it gets a little easier as the performer, as the patient.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, I forgot about that. Anyway, so I got a couple more questions for you before we get to our games.
Yeah.
What do you think, or how do you kind of, when working in that corporate environment, what are some of the hurdles that you need to overcome for people who are, if you're in a corporate setting, there's probably a lot of people who haven't done or aren't interested in improv. So how do you bridge those gaps, I guess?
Sometimes I worry that, just bringing improv into a group of people who don't want to do improv is kind of hard
Yes.
situation to walk into. But I think that's why a lot of improvisers, maybe comedic improvisers, performance improvisers, don't get into the applied improv world because of that. But I think because I'm in the corporate world and I'm like, these presentations are so boring. We've got to make them more fun. It is more fun for me, and I can see the value in bringing this to teams. Psychological safety is a big first thing, and it's a pretty big buzzword now. It's kind of like burnout's a big buzzword, rightfully so, for sure. I'm not judging it. It's a big buzzword. Psychological safety is becoming a big buzzword as well, and that is just establishing, hey, I'm not going to make you come up and do 2-person scenes in front of this group. You will not look silly. Well, I'll take that back. Like, you'll do some silly stuff, but everyone will be doing it with you. So you won't be the only one.
Yeah.
You don't ever have to be funny. I know a lot of people have seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, so they're like, oh, I'm not Wayne Brady.
I'm not Colin Mockery. I'm not Ryan Stiles. Like, I'm not funny. You don't have to be.
Yeah.
So my rules are, say the first thing that comes to your mind. So don't think of the best answer. Say the first thing that comes to your mind. 2, keep it safe for work. So if the first thing that comes to your mind is not safe for work, then say the second thing that comes to your mind.
HR.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue. I always kind of make that joke.
Yeah.
But just to say, like, let's keep it safe for work.
Hey, your joke was so good. HR wants to hear it. Right this way.
Right. Number 3, be present and allow yourself to be a beginner. So you really can't multitask, especially Zoom. People are probably thinking they can check their email. It's like, no.
I'll tap. Yeah. Hang on, I got Slack.
No, you're not going to be able to with all the exercises we're doing. So
Just
be
also
present.
Kind of singular focus.
Yeah, and allow yourself to be a beginner. You might not be good at these exercises, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Just try. And then 4, have fun. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your time. So setting those ground rules. Sometimes I do a meditation. I have a whole jacket of judgment meditation where
that sounds good.
we visualize taking off this jacket of judgment of ourselves, of others. It depends on the timing that I have, but I'll do that. And just really setting the stage of you do not have to be funny.
Yeah.
Honestly, the funny comes when you are present and when you just respond naturally to your scene partner. So, setting that up front is so important. And it takes about 10 minutes at least to set that psychological safety. So if it's an hour training, I really only have 35 minutes to do exercises.
Tight. Yeah.
Because 10 minutes to set the safety. I talk a lot, so I can't really condense it.
Yeah. Well, it's important too. If you don't have that, then the rest might be a wash.
Yeah, exactly. That too. And then probably 3 to 4 exercises, and then closing, debrief. Try to debrief after each exercise. When I first started, I was like, I just want to have fun, and I want to do all the games, and I want people to experience all the games.
Let's go, people. Yeah.
But it's no, the lessons learned are actually in the sharing, in the
reflection
debrief.
after.
Yeah. So I do value that time more. And if it takes a while, if we have to skip an exercise, we have to skip an exercise. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Because somebody's sharing what they took away from that exercise might be something different than they were thinking, and then they hear it and they glean something from it. So it's important to have that time to share. And then, you end and you share kind of key takeaways and the survey link and try to end on time, which is always a hard thing for me to do because I want to have fun. But just establishing that and letting people know, you're not going to be on stage by yourself or anything. It's a lot of group work. If I'm running out of time, I might ask for volunteers for something like a one-word story or something pretty easy. But they'll never be up there just with two people doing scene work like we're used to.
All right, one-word suggestion, onion, go.
Right.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
So it's a lot of short-form games. Basically.
You want to give a lot of structure, so then, it's like, I think in that situation, right, it's more like T-ball, where like, hey, we want to give you a support and we want to see you succeed.
And a lot of applied improvisers, I don't know what Matt does because he has IFTP as the business name, but
it's full of secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of applied improvisers won't even put improv in the name. They'll just say what the takeaway is, like
it can scare people. Empathy
for communication skills or better resilience, or self-care activities, or non-traditional self-care activities. So I could certainly think of a better
lots
title.
Of different like alternate names.
Yeah, so that improv isn't in the name, and then you just say we're running exercises, and then you don't have to have the improv. But listen, I have a business called Improvly Speaking, so I'm not getting away from it. I'm gonna double down on that.
I like that though. You own it. You're like, no, this is what we do and what we're about.
Yeah. And I will say, a little side tangent, there is the Applied Improv Network, AIN. They are amazing. All improvisers are amazing and willing to share and help and the whole yes and they have taken that and formed Applied Improv Network, where they do every Friday. They have multiple open space groups, but every Friday, at least Pacific time, it works better for me. They have they'll get like a Zoom group, 20 to 30 people that join, and you can practice different exercises.
Oh, that's cool.
So for the hour, and it's a whole, like, you can share your gifts, or you can give a gift and what you want to work on and lead a breakout room. And it could be like, I want to practice this exercise, or hey, I'm looking for more like self-care activities. And it's all these people with all this different experience that joins these groups and will share freely. And we all have businesses. Awesome. We're all kind of competing against each other if we think about it.
Yeah.
But there's so much room to go around that no one ever says that. And it's all, if you get better, you give a better reputation of improv, which then it
helps everybody. Yeah.
It does.
Rising tide lifts all ships, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's such a cool world to be a part of.
That's really cool. I want to learn more about that. I'm going to do some research, Dayna.
Yeah.
All right. So, second and last question. What do you think so far has been the impact of improv in your life? And this could be a doozy, because that's a big question. But however you want to put it.
Well, I don't like the term life-changing because I think it gets overused in society.
Yeah, that queso I had yesterday, life-changing.
Life-changing. Those street tacos, life-changing.
I often joke that I'm like, my life is separated into two periods. Before I had that queso and after I had that queso. Right. And like, that's so not true, but I love joking like that because you're right. We do overuse some things like that.
But to be honest, so I use the term game-changing for improv. It really has been life-changing, but I don't want you to think I'm exaggerating here. It has been game-changing. Like, again, Toastmasters had that foundation of public speaking, and then improv just like leveled it up to this fearlessness. I'm in a musical improv class right now. I had my first one on Saturday.
I always wanted to try one of those.
Oh, you would be fantastic at it.
Maybe.
Yeah. I know you've done musical theater. You would just crush. The fact that I've signed up for a musical improv class, I'm not a singer.
That's another level than like just improv. It's like,
if we sang? I'm hoping it'll help me in that like, okay, I did musical improv. I could do anything now.
Yeah. Oh,
in improv.
absolutely. I
That's
think
the
so.
hope.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, 5 years ago, I wasn't doing any of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was doing Toastmasters, so I was getting out of my comfort zone a bit.
You're kind of in orbit.
Yeah, but, like, I wasn't doing any of this.
Yeah,
so
now you're...
I'm just, I've jumped in. I'm following the fear, and if it scares me, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
And really, there's no risk to taking a class of any sort other than just like having to sit in the hot seat and listen to a guy speak on his life story for an hour. But on the list is stand-up, too, which stand-up scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And that's why I need to do it, to try it.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I took one class, and it's, you push yourself.
So are you one and done, or will you keep going?
I think for me, it wasn't that I didn't like it. It just doesn't scratch the itch the same way that something like improv does. And also it's hard. Like it takes, I think I just need to do it more. It's one of those things, like I'm not very good at it yet. Obviously I'm not. I took one class,
Right.
And I think I'd like to come back around to it one day.
Well, and that's a good point. If it, it may not be the worst thing ever, it just might not scratch the itch that, you want to keep going. And that's fine, too. But, the fact that I'm not afraid to sign up for these classes anymore is game-changing.
Yeah,
and it's, I mean, my coworkers recognize it because I'm not afraid to step up and do stuff anymore.
Take the lead.
In my personal life, I'm really trying to work on my perfectionism, and I'm recognizing, I have a podcast now. It is actually chronicling my improv journey through what I've learned in the process. And that wasn't the original intention. Yeah. The original intention was to kind of show how improv shows up in all of our lives, no matter what job you do. And I still focus on that, but it's kind of turning into just me documenting how I'm progressing in my improv journey. And I don't start the podcast without improv, of course, but I don't have the confidence to start without improv. Just it's been a game changer for me on so many levels. I honestly can't imagine not doing it now. And it's not to say I do it every day. I mean, I might take a class a week or something. Yeah. Musical improv is my focus right now, which is super scary. But I did sing, and it wasn't that bad.
I bet you were great.
But it's given me a new level of fearlessness and confidence that I didn't have before. So let's just keep riding it and see what else we can do with it. So it's a game changer.
It's a game changer. Improv. Game changer.
Game changer.
Thank you for pointing at the camera with me. All right. My final question for you tonight, Dayna. Looking ahead, what do you think in terms of your improv journey? Do you have any goals for the future? Maybe the next 6 months, the next year, something you're working on, or someplace you want to be?
My ultimate goal is to get on Comedy Bang Bang. If I make it on Comedy Bang Bang as a character, or even just as an interviewee subject, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've made it. I will mic drop. I will be like, done. I've made it. Now I can die happily.
Yeah, yeah.
And I assume if I make it on Comedy Bang Bang, there's a lot more momentum going on. So there will be more. There
might be some other seeds out there.
There will be more things to conquer and accomplish at that point.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I said that recently on a podcast, and I'm like, that would be like the dream.
Yeah.
To do that.
And I think it starts with just putting it out there, right? You're like, hey, this is something I want to do, and letting other people know about it too, because it holds you accountable and it sets your sights on something. Yeah.
And that's kind of a silly one, but just like recognizing like, oh, if I get there, I've quote unquote made it. Yeah. But hey, listen, this is my second podcast I'm recording today.
In the same day.
2 in 1 day.
2 in 1 day? Whew, you've been running around town to all these studios.
Right. The home studio and then the IFTP studio. I think that means I've made it as a podcaster too. That solidifies like, okay, you are a podcaster now.
And on your rider, before we were able to get you in the studio, you said, I want M&Ms, but only Only the blue ones. Don't give me any of those other colors.
Do not give me the brown ones. I will throw it in your face.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then you said, I want a payday bar with no nuts. And I was like, that's silly, but I mean, it's not silly, but we got it done for you.
I want a bag of Skittles, but I don't want to eat them. I want you to eat them.
Okay. No, I'm trying.
Taste the rainbow.
It's so good. My mouth hurts.
Yeah. No. So you see, you got to grow with
you got to grow.
The opportunities you're given.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
You know, I just started my podcast. It launched November 16th.
Hey.
And I think a little bit after. When did you launch this one?
September. So like maybe September 19th. So like 2 months before.
You know, funny story. I decided to start my podcast like in July when we had a sketch going on.
Right around there. Yeah.
And I think we had a class. It wasn't quite the rehearsal or show. So we had a class and I came and I was just like on such a high because I had talked with my podcast partner for the first one I was doing. I was like, hey, I really want to start my own. And I was nervous what he would say and stuff. And he was fine with it. It was completely fine, like drama free. Nothing like you would see in the movies. He was like, oh, it's cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'm doing this. So I came in on a high. It was probably a super fun class. The next day, I literally woke up and I was like, what the hell have I done? What have I done? Like this decision I've made.
I signed up for this? Yeah.
This is not a good decision. I should contact my podcast partner. I should go back. We'll be fine. Like, I don't know how to get started. Like, there's so much to do.
Yeah.
I was so overwhelmed. Complete 180.
Yeah.
And I powered through that. I did not go back on my word. I kept going. It did take a while, like July. So then I launched in November. So it took a while to get things rolling and stuff, which is normal.
Yeah.
But launched November 16th. And I've even said this month, which is January, we're recording, end of January, I've said, oh, this podcast is now just a part of me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it just feels like a thing I do.
I'm feeling like that now too.
No, like it's not this big, huge thing to have to release an episode and oh God, what are people gonna think?
Oh yeah, it feels. I'm like, man, it's out there. All right, yeah.
On to the next one. Like it's just it's a part of me now. It's just a thing I do. And you know, I even right before the holidays in December, I recorded one. I said really quick, but it ended up being an hour, and it was my taking the leap of faith at Improv Camp and Beyond. So I talk about my IFTP camp experience.
I gotta find that episode. Check it out.
Yeah, and I talk about the leap of faith, but I ended up recording with the wrong microphone plugged in.
No,
it was my webcam microphone.
No,
and every podcaster's nightmare.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I've definitely made it. I've recorded with the wrong microphone and I've done 2 episodes in one day. And I listened to it. I'm like, ugh, this sounds awful. I sent it to the editor, AKA my Fiverr guy. And I was like, can you do anything with this? And he's like, a little bit here. And I was like, you know what? My podcast is about improv and it's all about letting go of perfection.
Yeah.
Embracing mistakes. This is definitely a mistake that was made. I will never make it again. You better believe I checked those settings now.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't have quite the setup that you have. So
that's all right.
I just released it.
Yeah.
I would have pre-improv if I had done a podcast on something else. God knows what it would be on. I would never have released it. I would have spun my wheels. I would have re-recorded. I would have beat myself up. Like, oh, you're so stupid. How could you ever do that? Like, that's so dumb. Now you wasted so much time, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, we're just going to release it. You know what? Lesson learned. I'm using this as an opportunity to learn now. I'll never make that mistake again.
Yeah. And I think,
good.
I think the most important thing is that you did it and you started it. And with anything like that, creating content, starting a podcast, whatever that looks like, it's not about getting all the right tools first and starting. It's about starting with what you have and building from there, both you and your skills, like working on the digital side of things, working on hosting skills, right? It's all of that, because I know I've learned a lot of that over the now past 21 episodes, and like just how to best leverage the tools that you have and learn new ones as well. So,
well, you have some fancy tools. I'm quite impressed. And
I'm very fortunate that Matthew Moore owned this.
We're going to do a pod swap, and you're going to see your guest experience on mine.
I'm excited. I know it's going to be great. All right, Dayna, are you ready to play some games?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the first game we're going to play, It's a very original name. It's called From Page to Stage. And essentially what we're going to do is that I've selected a poem that I enjoy. We're going to read the poem in its entirety, and then we'll just do a scene, whatever comes from that poem. Okay. Then I'll black us out when I think we're done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read this poem. So this poem is called This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold.
Honey, I'm running late for work. I'm just gonna grab my breakfast and lunch and go.
Yeah. Sure, Jennifer. Yeah, whatever you need.
Honey, I had a peanut butter sandwich packed and a banana and an apple for breakfast and lunch, and there's literally a fork in here now.
Yeah, well, I thought you could take that fork, and they have that like cafe in your building, right? So you could probably pick something up and use that fork to eat.
Sure, but I mean, we've been talking about like trying to eat healthy, and eat at home, and save money for our cruise. You know, on our cruise.
I ate really healthy. Jennifer, I ate your breakfast.
Okay, Brad.
But it's like, you can't be mad at me because, I've been trying to do that intermittent fasting thing. And, I was putting together your lunch this morning, throwing everything in there. And I broke my fast. I broke my fast.
Yeah.
That banana was exceptional. Chiquita, whoo, your sandwich. Oh my gosh. That sandwich for lunch, it was so good. So I just want to let you know, it was a great lunch. Thank you for sharing it with me. I really needed that to start my day.
Okay, so I have a choice. Either I'm going to be late for my meeting, or I stay and make breakfast now.
Well, look. I have actually some Cliff Bars in the pantry. Maybe you just take like 2 of those, and I think they're a good meal replacement. Just here, Cliff Bars. You're good. That's breakfast, lunch, and then you can get to your meeting, Jennifer. No problem.
Bradley?
Yeah. What's up?
I did not want Cliff Bars for lunch. I wanted my peanut butter sandwich, banana, apple, and chips. I don't think this intermittent fasting thing is working out for you. I know you're trying to diet for the cruise. I know. I know you are.
You cruise, you lose. That's how I'm thinking.
You cruise, you lose. Yeah, for sure. That is what the Queen Mary says.
That's my motto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've even gotten shirts already for it. Yeah, I know. We don't have to wear those at the same time, though.
We do. They match.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, cruise, you lose. There's the whole Mediterranean diet too.
Yeah, hummus.
Or just like eating every 3 to 4 hours, and then you won't feel so hungry that you eat someone's lunch and breakfast at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. And I think tomorrow, when I'm throwing together your lunchbox, I'll try to only eat your breakfast.
All right, so I'm going to start hiding my breakfast where you don't know where it is. And then you don't have to, and then we won't have this issue.
I love playing games. Blackout.
Oh, that was so touching.
That was so touching. And you're working so hard. And I am not. I am doing everything I can to.
No, yeah, and I don't need to solve your problem. But even though I tried, I did. I essentially did, but.
Yeah.
I like that poem.
I love that poem.
By William
Carlos Williams. Yeah. Okay. I read that poem in high school in like AP Lit.
Is that it for the poem?
Yeah, that's the whole poem. That's the whole poem. And it has stuck with me since. I mean, it's been a little while since I took that class, but I've always quite enjoyed that poem. It was just very funny.
I wonder if it is a true story poem.
It might be.
That scenario just played out, and he was like, I'm going to write a poem on this.
Yeah.
Like, we were like, I'm going to do a podcast episode. He was like, I'm going to write a poem
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
This was just too good.
Yeah. And I just, this poem finally came back and I got to use it for something. Because I've always loved it. And over the years, like, oh yeah, there's that poem about the plums in the icebox.
You cruise, you lose, Jennifer. You cruise, you lose.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for playing that game.
That was fun.
All right. This next one was actually also kind of inspired by you. This game is called Pod on the Pod. So what we're going to be doing, Dayna, is that we're actually going to be improvising our own podcast on this podcast because there's a few reasons. This is a game idea I've had, but I just knew you were the perfect person to do it with because, one, you have 2 podcasts. Secondly, you've written a great sketch about podcasts. And 3, we're on a podcast right now. So the premise for this game, Dayna, is that we are going to get I'm going to give us a random topic really quick. And then we're just gonna improvise a little bit our own podcast.
Whatever characters we want to be.
Whatever characters. We'll just get kind of a prompt for a topic. And then...
you never know. This could start the 3rd podcast, too.
This could start...
Your 2nd, my 3rd,
podcast. All right. So, all right, the topic of our podcast today is that we're going to be talking about the worst places to be stuck. The worst places to be stuck. And then we'll just go for a bit. I'll block us out when we're done.
Welcome, everyone, to A Rock and a Hard Place podcast. And listen, all right, we're here talking about the toughest of topics here, where you don't want to be stuck in. And, a rock in a hard place is the worst place to be stuck in, right, Michael?
Absolutely, Dayna. A rock in a hard place, whew, you won't catch me there. But believe it or not, we've actually compiled a list of some places that are nearly or worse than being stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right, so I'll go ahead and break down our first entry of one of the worst places to be stuck. And let me tell you, Dayna, this one, whoop, doozy.
Whoop, whoop. Doozy.
Yeah, so number 1 on our list, one of the worst places to be stuck is a porta potty that just fell over.
Oh, God.
Oh, disgusting.
Mardi Gras 2017. Don't even get me started.
Oh, break it down.
I'm using this porta potty, right?
Using the potty.
Paid for it. Got a wristband and all.
And VIP.
Right, you have to, okay? You're out on the street. Where are you going to go potty at, right? You can't. You got to pay.
You got to hold it. Or pay.
No, yeah, you do not go in someone's yard, okay? You get arrested for that.
Oh, you're done. Public record.
So, in the porta potty, right? And then all of a sudden, all right, all these people are trying to run to the float, all right, and the porta potty's in the way. They see this massive float, and they're just like humming beads off of it, and they're like, I gotta get to the float, start charging, and they just push over the porta potty with me in it. And I just literally go like, whoop, and
That's a biohazard, people. And she is with us here today on the pod to regale us with this tale. That is officially worse than being stuck in a rock in a hard place. Thank you so much, Dayna, for sharing that tragedy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to talk about.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yep. That's why we have a podcast.
But sometimes talking about it is healing too. Because I could black this out and I could say, I never want to be, I'll never go in a porta potty again, but I will.
Yeah.
I'll have to go in a porta potty.
You'll have to go again. That's the part of the human experience.
Part of life is to go in a porta potty.
It is.
And I can't be afraid anymore.
No, you can't.
And I thank you for this Rock in a Hard Place podcast too, because I don't know if I'd conquer my fear without it. So I'm here, I'm conquering my fear. I'm telling my story, and I have to tell you, I went into a porta potty last week.
Wow. Give it up for Dayna, everybody. She went back to the place where she was dunked on. That is incredible. The story of overcoming struggle, trauma.
And you know what? I didn't get turned over.
Didn't get turned over.
Didn't get dunked on.
That's incredible.
Didn't wash my hands.
Blackout.
That's like, dang,
good.
that's mean.
Good. That was good. All right, Dayna. So we got one more game we're going to play for our episode, and then we're going to be all set. Are you okay on time?
I'm good.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
No, am I in the running for longest guest episode so far?
We're getting there, almost.
Oh, okay.
I've reached 2 hours with a couple. All right, so for this last game, this game actually pieced it together with a dear friend, Matthew Moore, friend of the show, friend of the podcast.
Never heard of him.
This game is called IFTP SVU. Bum bum. So in this game, you and I, Dayna, are going to be given a random description of a dead body at a crime scene. And you and I will need to play through that scene leading up to the dead body appearing, essentially.
Okay.
Bum bum. But this dead body was found. There were two things related to this dead body: disco, eggs. So our task is to play the scene that explains how this happened.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And our two
So we're
suggestions.
not detectives. We are
replaying what happened. Yes, we're the prequel.
Okay.
We're the episode leading up to the episode.
Or we're the intro before
The cold open.
Yes,
the criminal justice system. Yeah. Before we get into that.
Okay.
All right. And again, our two prompts are disco, eggs.
I think deviled eggs is the perfect thing to bring to a party.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I know the good Lord says not to be associated with the devil. However, I don't think the Lord ever tried his eggs.
He did not say to stay away from the eggs, though. Okay?
He did not.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I'm so glad, Martha May, that you agree with me.
Oh, Samuel Francis, I certainly agree with you, and I just love you, especially when you just crack those eggs so gently.
You know, I just want to take nice, tender care with these eggs, not get any of that shell in there. None of that unexpected sea runch. Yeah.
I love your laugh, honey.
Oh, well, thank you, Martha May.
And I am smoothing this mayo out to the smoothest. Okay, they say mayo's already smooth, but you don't want it too, rigid like in the deviled eggs. You want it nice and smooth.
I want that smooth like silk slurping mayo. You know how to do it. And of course, as always, I'm just going to take a quick sip of the eggs here just to make sure things are tasting all right.
Taste it, yeah. Is it smooth?
As I kind of shuffle that yolk around in my mouth. This be a fine batch of eggs there, Martha May.
Did that chicken eat healthily?
Oh, absolutely. These eggs are fine. I'd give them a grade A+ eggs.
Yeah.
And I see that you're adding a little, is that paprika to that mayo over there? A little bit of, spice.
Just a little bit of mustard, too.
That's fun.
Give a little funky funk taste.
Ooh, a little funky funk. Well, I think doing a little bit of funky funk is appropriate for this party that we're headed to, being a disco party and all.
You know I love the funky funk.
That I do, and I'm so glad you and I are going to be wearing our matching sweater vests. I think those are going to be a smash hit on the dance floor.
Oh, Samuel Francis, you could cut a rug, too, when we were younger.
Oh, Martha May, you're just being too dang nice.
I mean, you literally cut it up. I mean, we can't even have rugs in our place anymore because you just did so much cutting.
That's true. I'm like a razor blade on cardboard.
But you're smooth, though, okay? Like, that's what I'm concerned about, that smoothness in your movements. Yeah.
Well, not as smooth as your mayo, Martha May. Martha May's mayo. Martha Mayo, that's what they call you. Down at the Johnson's disco party we'll be heading to.
You know, they're not going to know what hit them when they eat these deviled eggs.
They are not. They're going to think it'd be the devil himself slapping them in the face.
You know what I'm doing?
You're adding a little bit of garnish, aren't you?
I'm adding a little bit of garnish.
Ooh-wee.
A little bit of alcohol.
Alcohol. Ooh, we're gonna some funky saucy devil eggs, Martha May. Oh my goodness.
And a little extra paprika.
Ooh. Ooh.
Now the recipe only called for like 1 teaspoon. I added 5 teaspoons to cover up that alcohol taste.
Smart. Smart. Now, I think I'd like to try a little bit of your whip over there because I don't know if you noticed, but I've been sneaking a few sips of the egg yolk over here, and I think I need to balance it out.
You sure have, Samuel Francis.
It's just,
okay.
In any cooking situation, I believe, Martha May, it's important to be sampling one's ingredients.
Yes, the ingredients are the most important.
Sorry, that's the egg yolk talking. But,
It's good, right?
This is the most
taste?
fantastic mayonnaise that I ever had, Martha May. Thank you so much for that.
Samuel Francis, are you okay? You are turning a little bit purple.
Ooh.
And I like purple, but not on a person.
Well, Martha May, I did notice when I was taking a sip of that egg yolk, I think a little bit of shell did
You got some shell in there.
get through to my throat. That's why I wanted some mayonnaise to kind of silk it down,
It didn't help?
I don't think so. I just now I just feel a little buzzed and
Here, have some alcohol. Just straight up alcohol. Wash it down.
oh my goodness, it's so strong, Martha May. I only drink the Lord's Communion wine and the occasional sip of bourbon.
I know it's only that occasional sip that you have every Friday, but just, you gotta wash it down. Wash it down, Samuel Fran, please.
Martha May, I may have cut my last rug.
No, you got more rugs to cut. Samuel.
Martha May, please have them eat raw egg at my funeral. Remember me with the devils.
No, I need you.
Devils.
I need you. I don't know what to do with the eggs now.
I'll be waiting for you now.
No, come back. Come back.
Blackout. That got real sad there at the end. It got a little too. I was like, oh no. That was wow. Do you ever put alcohol in deviled eggs? Is that a real thing?
No, it's not.
Okay, I was like, that might work though. I don't know.
I'm just laughing because I don't know what SVU.
The Special Victims Unit.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we were special victims in that the fact that we had a unique death on our hands.
Yeah, I think so. That's what it was.
So I think we'll take it.
Martha May got really upset and stuck a bottle somewhere it didn't need to go or something.
Yeah.
We just didn't get to all of it.
Yeah. The coroner will have a field day, I think, in this situation. All right. Well, Dayna, thank you so much for playing. You were absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah. Before we conclude our episode for the evening, I just want to ask, are there any final words you want to leave us with tonight before we go?
I'm so grateful for IFTP community. Everyone here is so nice, and I know I'm not here on a monthly basis right now, but I love the variety too. You have the improv classes and the shows, and then starting the sketch group. Keep going with that. Start that sketch group.
We're going to find a way.
Yeah. Find a way. And camp too. So just the variety of ways that people can get involved.
Yeah, the offerings.
And I know, and I'm still in the email list, and during the holidays, I wasn't taking classes because I was traveling. I would have missed too many classes. Yeah. But Matt was like, oh, anyone who came to camp, still come to our holiday party and stuff. Like, just still being involved in the community is huge. And I'm grateful for everyone here. It's so nice. And I learned so much from them. Improv here and everywhere is a freaking game changer. And I just want to encourage everyone who's listening, because you're probably all improvisers listening to a 2-hour-long improv podcast. But maybe not. If you're listening and you haven't done improv, go take a class. And if you are, just keep going in your journey. It might feel cringy. It might feel hard. You may feel like the worst improviser sometimes, but just keep going because it's so much fun and you are learning so many skills in it that can apply to your career and life. And it really will change your life.
Yeah, it really will. Well said, Dayna. Thank you so much again for coming on the show, sharing your wisdom, sharing your skill and your talent and everything else. Thank you so much, everyone, for checking out Improv for the podcast. As always, we come out every week on Wednesday. And if you enjoy the show, as always, we'd love to hear your feedback on one of our platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Twitter, the phone book, whatever you got. And until then, we'll see you next time. Improv for the podcast was created by Matt Moore and Michael Lee Evans. Edited and produced by Michael Lee Evans. And finally, presented by Improv for the People. Interested in more IFTP? You can visit us at improvforthepeople.com or on our socials, such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, new episodes are released weekly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.